lady. We already did that one. Snow, no, Snowzar, butchering it. He says, Jake, Grok says that $12 XRP in 2030 is more reasonable. Well, yeah, it's more reasonable. The fastest way to being broke is being reasonable or realistic. He says, is more reasonable than $100 because of rippling and netting. If you owe me $10 and I owe you 9, only moves 1, not 19. So 20 to 30 billion daily, not 5 trillion thoughts. Yeah, I mean, rippling and netting definitely help on the network. You still need enough liquidity to move that value, though. So again, I've talked about the LLMs before. I think it's great that people are starting to adopt those and search things and use that as a search engine. I still don't think most people have really unlocked what gets really doable with the AI today, like creating agents that could go work on your behalf and creating skills that they have to review things through and governance around when they have to bring things to you for approval versus just being able to automate it and execute it themselves. That's the unlock, and that increases productivity because they'll do all that while you're sleeping, you're sick, you're on vacation, whatever else. But just asking an LLM something, they're also probabilistic and not deterministic. So what that means is, depending on how you answer or how you ask the question, it's going to answer a certain way. I don't remember, we were sitting on the couch last night and I asked the LLM something, and my wife said, well, it answered that way because you asked it that way. And she's not wrong. Like, depending on how you ask the question is kind of how it answers it for you. So you have to give it a lot of context that the LLM doesn't have. If you don't build in a skill that is, it reviews everything through every single time before it gives you an answer, you're going to get slop. It's not going to give you, actual answers on stuff. As an example, so the AMMs are going to be fixed tomorrow. There's a couple of fixes that are going to get pushed on the XRPL. I think late in the day tomorrow. Well, actually, it was 36 hours about noon today, so it's going to be to Wednesday. Wednesday is when version 3.13 will get pushed for the AMMs. I was asking the LLM if XRP could facilitate back-end settlement of the stock market, solely on the AMMs, and it said no. That's for routing payments and providing liquidity and settlement. It's not for reconciling the back-end trades on the stock market. But I said, okay, well, what if you paired that with Project Ion? And it did research, and it looked at Corda and R3 and what they developed with the DTCC for Project Ion, gave me some statistics on it, and it said, actually, if you paired the AMMs with with Project Ion, you could facilitate back-end settlement of the stock market at scale for the number of transactions and liquidity required if XRP was somewhere between $500 and $1,000. And again, that was predicated on like 1 billion to 5 billion XRP being used for that settlement, and reducing the amount of times that XRP is used per day to less than 10. So, again, those are all constraints that you have to give the LLM. You have to feed it. Otherwise, it's going to give you answers outside of the scope of what you're looking for. So unless you have all that context, it's not just going to go out and find it. You have to be very specific when you ask ChatGPT or Grok or Claude, any of these things. And again, if you don't have a skill that it's run through for the context to be able to answer it the right way, it's going to give you just arbitrarily whatever it finds on the internet. And if you're also not providing it with your educated guesses and criteria, then again, it's not going to be very accurate. So that would be my, value I could provide on that, is make sure that you are, really giving it specific questions. And this is something else I was actually talking about with, we run some family office events, and the gentleman that we coordinate those with, we were talking about it earlier on. And, he asked me, we were having a higher level conversation. He said, do you have these high level conversations frequently? And I said, occasionally I do. But most of the time I'm, kind of simplifying things or making things analogous so that people can understand them. And I'm in that conversation, I was thinking through like fourth, fifth, sixth, 10th orders of actions beyond whatever was currently going on. Most people are looking at just the first thing that's right in front of them right now, and maybe, a day or two or a week later based on what's going to happen with that. And with that, they don't have the context to even ask really informed, good questions. And that's really what it takes to get the LLMs to give you good information, is very specific questions, just like you would ask for when you come on here if you want, a certain answer. Duran Taylor, they say, question, ROUSD is backed by dollars. It's not backed by dollars, it's backed by treasuries or cash equivalents. So that means banks still need to keep the money moving in Nostra Vostra accounts. So if that means XRP is still needed for settlement, since ROUSD accounts for volatility. Yes, you have that exactly correct. If you don't have to pre-fund accounts and you have a DEX that you can settle through, where the counterparty receives what they want on the other side of the transaction without having to pre-fund stable coins or other currencies, that would be the ideal outcome, and that would unlock all of that capital instead of just exacerbating Nostra Vostra accounts and pushing that to 50 trillion globally because of all the stable coins having to be held with the different counterparties to settle with them. So yeah, it's right on point. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom, and I'm going to work my way back up on the super chats again. If you're here, I always forget to say it. Please like, subscribe, share, hype. I guess you can do the hype thing over here.